welcome to another episode of Fire Your Boss Fridays, the podcast that's all about stealing your life back, firing your boss, and living a life full of purpose. I'm your host, Chad Passa. Along my side, my favorite rebel soul and real-life digital nomad, Lisa Hart. And we're coming to you from a far-off remote location today. And we have a special guest, Haille, in the house. Let's all welcome our guest, Haille Norris. We wanted to have Haille on today because this is someone who has mastered the art of firing their boss. She's breaking free from the traditional 9-to-5 grind. She's the proud owner of Haille Norris Design Co. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and it's a brand design studio, and I'm eager to tap into that. And that empowers entrepreneurs in the health and wellness space. She's based out of Columbia, Missouri. She's been helping business owners attract their dream clients with powerful branding and website, all while building a business they truly love. So Haille, say hello to our listeners if you would, and tell us, are we going to get to hear all the secrets to how you fired your boss?
Hello, friends. Yes, I will share, of course, but I feel like my story is a little different in that I really fired my boss because I had twin girls. So circumstantial, but it
blessings,
yes.
Aren't they sometimes? Yes.
Yeah, that's what
children,
we call
of course,
them.
But
yeah.
in other
Yeah, I was working, in a corporate office and doing that for several years. And
what type of job was that you were doing in the corporate office?
Yeah, I've always been a designer, but I was like on in-house marketing teams. And so I worked at two different jobs. One was a local real estate property management group. So they did a bunch of different things from apartments to restaurants and they were entrepreneurs on their own.
Or is that fun marketing? Because real estate, when I think of it, I mean, right? I don't know unless they're doing drone footage or something.
Yeah, I know. We did student housing, so
that's beautiful.
Columbia
I'm sure
is a
the
big
amenities
Mizzou.
Stretched
Yes.
far and wide.
Absolutely, yeah, really talked them up. But
you had your work cut out for you then.
It was my first job. It was my first job out of college,
okay.
And it was exactly what it needed to be. I did learn exactly what I wanted and didn't want to do, and I did learn a lot at that job. But that was when I first learned what anxiety was.
Wow.
So.
That's what you wanted out of it? Oh, wow. Okay.
Well,
be
I got to
okay?
learn a lesson about myself, I guess,
right.
under stress. But yeah, so then I was doing that, and I moved on to a corporate job that I ended up being the sole designer for it was a camping brand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a parent company.
Cool, right? Camping's cool.
It was very cool. It was very cool.
In?
Yes. I worked for the parent company, but I was on the team for the camping brand.
Cool. So surrounded by talent everywhere. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So many creatives there. And that was like a really cool opportunity because I was able to kind of go in and rebrand this company with the brand manager that was also started around the same time as me. So that's kind of where I got my love for branding and rebranding.
Yeah, understanding what it is.
Yeah, going through that whole process, like from scratch. I mean, this company had been around for a long time, but they hadn't thought about branding in an intentional way, and we wanted to like bring some life back into it.
Cool.
And so we had that opportunity to rebrand and refresh that business. And so that's really where like that desire came from.
Well, plus at that level, you get to see it at this caliber of like, and also the transition from the old. It's a successful business. It sounds like, right?
Yeah,
and then then taking the branding and then applying that and seeing the difference in how the business operates, how the consumer consumes and reflects and all of that, you got to witness an interesting thing that even most brand people maybe never tap into, because maybe they start off with the company in the beginning. You never really very few companies completely rebrand. That's like,
yeah, it's a big undertaking.
Right? That's like a no, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking. It's not a quick process by any means, especially if you're wanting to do it right and, you know, go all the way back to the bottom and like really, you know, go through strategies, like brand strategies and, you know, your why, and like really bringing like some actual like roots and personality to the business, which it was lacking. So that was very, very interesting. Yeah, it was very cool to be a part of.
So if you...
Everything you just said got me so fired up. Go ahead, Lise.
If you hadn't had your twins, do you think you would still be working in the corporate world?
That's a great question and something I think about often, because I mean, I'm at this point where they're now like almost 2.5 years old, and I've been going at this, my business now for 2.5 years. And I'm like, wow, like, where would I have been if I did not, you know, get pregnant with twins? And, you know, I can remember sitting like at my office and, you know, doing this work, and I did love the work that I did, but being a bigger company, it didn't, like, all of the higher up management didn't necessarily align with my values. The team I worked with and what we got to do on a daily basis, I really loved, but I didn't necessarily like feel super supported, and
right,
you know, didn't really align with the values completely of the higher management team, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to.
What are your values right now? Like, what are your current values? Do you have a team? Like, are you building values around your current team? No?
I am currently the only person of my studio.
No one to talk back to. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You know, that is something that might be down the line. Is growing my team and getting a small team together. I mean, the values that I have kind of thought about for my business is definitely intentionality, being intentional with the decisions I'm making as a business owner, but also for when I'm creating brands and websites for like entrepreneurs, like being intentional about those decisions with them and kind of even helping them to think differently and inspire them to be intentional.
Maybe they don't even know where they align, right?
Right.
Essentially, and it's more of a journey to brandship, not I'm going to tell you your brand. Right, like it's
Absolutely.
like, hey, let's take this journey together. I know a really good way to kind of navigate something like this, and let's get you across the finish line. So it'd be fair to say that your strength is branding, and then you took that and you're like, listen, I'm going to fire on all cylinders, and so here we are. So I got some fun questions, man. I am super excited to ask them, and everything you said so validated everything I wanted to do today. So
okay, great.
I can't resist. I'm going to dive right in. So, as entrepreneurs transitioning from the traditional career, which you had before, to this your own venture, how can a well-crafted brand identity boost the confidence and credibility for a person who thinks they have none, right? Because you're just a person.
Yeah.
Then if you can create a brand that creates confidence and credibility in the marketplace, how can that boost confidence for an individual that doesn't have the confidence? Can a brand look better than the business or the company?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's
which is maybe not what everyone wants to hear, but
I know.
You know,
so
that's
let's dive into that a little bit.
But I mean, it is an investment into your business. So for me, like, when somebody invests in branding, that's like telling me, okay, I am committed to this and I want to look professional. Like, I want to be seen as the expert, and you know, whether it's like people are learning along the way and they're not totally there yet.
To be,
like I mean, like I work with a lot of small business owners, and you have to start somewhere. And so it's like a lot of people will, you know, do a DIY logo, or, you know, they have a friend who can do logos, but
What do you mean? AI can do everything.
well, that, you know, that's true.
I've done a few DIYs for sure. A good professional logo certainly goes a long way.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you're saying, right?
Exactly. It makes you look professional and like
so
the
you would
expert.
say it's
Yeah.
so you would say it's very important, like, for someone to start right away with their branding as soon as they can when they're starting their business.
I would say, as hard as it is sometimes, because I understand that there's financial like restrictions for people starting out. They don't have their, you know, bank all set, ready to spend money on their business, but it's something that will save you money in the long run, because especially if you're serious about your business, you don't want it to just be a side hustle. Like,
man, you nailed it. Yeah.
If you're,
How serious are you? Because listen, otherwise, just turn back now.
right.
Just
Like
delete it.
you'll
This is a big.
exactly.
It's a big hike.
It's a big decision to you know, quit your job and like build a business. Like that's a big decision to make, and it's scary. And doing it and going about it the right way is going to be also scary. But it's like, you know, if you're serious, like I said, then you want to invest in it, and, you know, start off on a good foot. Like that will get you farther quicker instead of like wasting a few years, like while you feel it out and, you know, kind of like try to make yourself feel more confident in it. But like if you invest in it,
embody it, maybe would be the word, right? Just embody
Yeah.
it. Let it
Go
be
all
you,
in.
and that's where brand comes in, I think, right?
Yeah.
Brand is like merging the business with you and embodying your values and what you want to project to the world, and like make sure it's being heard that way.
Yeah,
'Cause
translating it.
My wife will tell you, I do not project my core beliefs properly. Like a lot of times the translation is like, wait a minute, you sounded like you meant this, but you actually, I know what you meant. You meant this. So messaging is important.
I have to step in a lot of times, and he meant this.
This is what you mean. Yeah, honestly, brand designers in general, part of our like requirement is to be a mind reader. So we have to read minds and translate languages.
That should be like an upcharge, right? Like,
right. You're like, okay, so you're either going to tell me something. If I have to read your mind, you're going to see a bill for it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's something people don't really realize.
Let's run into this next one, what I'm calling segment 2, embracing the entrepreneur mindset. You mentioned specifically, though, and tell me if I'm wrong, self-growth minded. Is that your term? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Elaborate, please, if you could, for me personally, and maybe for our listeners. How did this mindset play a role in your entrepreneur journey? Like, how did you coin that? How did that happen?
I mean, I can't really talk about my entrepreneurial, why is that so hard to say? Journey.
Spell and say. Yeah.
To without talking about like my journey into motherhood, because I mean it's so like directly correlated. I not only left my job when I had the girls. I mean that was partially a financial decision. They, you know, I wasn't expecting to pay daycare for 2 at one time, and all of a sudden, you know, there it was. And so I left the job, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stay home with them. I don't know what my next step is. And we'll just kind of play it by ear. And I was I think I was like just hit my 3-month mark and I was like, I am struggling, and it was hard. I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious that like twins are hard, but it was hard for me, especially just because I had been a designer my whole life. I always knew I wanted to be a designer, and so
it's your identity a little bit.
Absolutely,
right?
it's like
a part of
it felt like
who
it was
you
taken,
are is dying. Yeah,
taken from
I've
me.
been there.
Yeah,
I've been there.
And it felt really terrible. Honestly, if I'm being real, I mean, it was not like a great place for me, and I didn't know how to kind of get out of it because I was like, oh, I'm staying home with them. Like, I can't, you know, I can't really, don't know what to do. And so when I say I am self-growth minded, it's like, I feel like I am really good at pushing myself to learn about myself and how, you know, how I work. And it's like,
how do you do those things? What are some tips you could give our listeners?
therapy.
That's awesome. Legit therapy? Okay,
Well,
yeah,
that's actually a new addition for me. I never did it
Okay.
before this year, but that is definitely a tip because it does help.
Okay.
But for me, what I did, and this was, I can remember the day that I did this, but like I was having a moment where I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not happy, but I need to gain some of myself back. And so I started writing down all of the things that I knew like make me happy. And so I literally made a list of like, okay, what are all the things that I could do in a day that would like make me feel better. And so I did, and one of those things is design. And I mean, of course, like I knew that was going to be on the list, you know.
Sure.
And so I kind of
That's like proactive. Like you're like,
Yeah.
listen, who knows better than you? You.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask someone what makes you happy. This is self-work. You can't
Yeah.
ask anyone, hey, what makes me happy? Like
Yeah.
no one else has this answer.
I know. And it was almost this weird thing because like I don't know, whenever I was staying home with them, I was like, it felt hard to say I want to do something else. You know, I don't want
know.
to just
like, you're talking social
Yes,
stigma,
I
right?
am.
Yeah. Bad
Yeah.
mom, shame on you. Love your kids more.
Yeah, there's a
extra.
guilt there.
Give up your whole life for your children, so they'll just leave and you'll never see them on Thanksgiving.
Exactly. I hope not.
I know, right?
But yeah, there was like this guilt there with that. And so it was like hard for me to even take those steps, but it's like I had honestly during the pandemic, I had started kind of working more on myself and doing more self-growth and trying to just, you know, when you're with yourself a lot during the pandemic, so
Yeah.
there was a lot of time for that, and I think a lot of people went through that.
A lot of transformation was made
A
in
lot
that
of
space.
people went through that.
People
Yeah.
went both directions. A lot of people say it was a bad time. I saw people
Yeah.
grow. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you did. You're a perfect
Yeah.
example. You grew.
I know,
period.
it's wild to think about, but
Right.
yeah, so anyways, so that's where it's kind of started.
But yeah, I can totally relate. Same thing, you know, I mean, my kids are grown now,
Yeah.
but I had 2 kids, and when I knew right away, like I was actually back to work like immediately after I had my kids. But then
Yeah.
when it was time to like put them in daycare, I mean, yeah, people were looking at me like, you're putting your kids in daycare? You know, I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to still work, you know, and like have my own
Yeah,
thing.
it's especially like for me, it's something that I'm so passionate about. So it's like, it's not like it was just a job for me
Yeah.
ever. And so like it was specifically the job I left. It was like, you know, I love designing. I don't love this specific job enough to like not being making any money or like to be netting out essentially with daycare.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, I am so passionate about design that I was like, you know, I know that's going to be a part of my path. I just had no idea what it was going to lead to. And I'm so glad for that transformational journey that I had to go
I
through.
know. We are too. I think it's cool. And we get to hear all about it. It's sweet.
Yeah.
So we have sort of segments we like to focus on, right? Steal your life back, fire your boss, live a life full of purpose. So when you are stealing your life back, right, that was the critical moment when you're finally realizing, hey, I'm in charge. I need to get some things in order internally, right? So you're now taking and saying, I'm taking my life back. I'm going out into the world and I'm gonna do this. And so that's very empowering for people. So with that said, balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, what strategies did you employ to optimize your time, your money, and your mental energy and focus, right? Because that's what you needed,
Yeah.
right? You needed focus and time, more probably the 2 most critical, and then money. and I know in your story you shared with us early on about, you know, putting the kids in daycare, right, and this. So what can you share with our listeners that could help them optimize, be the best version of themselves to be an entrepreneur, whether it's kids, whether it's, you know, a big family, like whatever the thing is that's like kind of keeping them from saying, oh, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, you know, I don't have enough mental clarity. What would it be for you? What were the things holding you back?
I mean, I got to a point where I was growing my business, and it became, like I said, I pretty much left my job because of daycare and the financial decision there. But then I, on the other hand of it, like other side, I started to grow my business, and like I knew that's what I wanted to make it happen. And so we made that hard decision to,
how serious are you, Haille?
to put them in daycare, because I was like working on their nap time, working in the afternoon or in the evening after they go to bed. And then I transitioned to, okay, let's get a babysitter for a few hours a week, and like kind of made that transition. And I was like, okay, like I like this. I like the time for myself.
Right, because it's a trade-off. It's time. You're balancing all these items. Yeah.
And for me, I mean, part of like being home with them all day, like that was just not good for my mental health. And you know, it was not good for them too. Like as soon as they went to daycare, it was like, okay, like I am already a better mom because
I 100% agree with you right there.
Like have that time and space to like be my own person again. And like especially getting to work every day towards my business and like doing something I love.
That fire's lit again.
That fire. Yeah.
Haille's back, right?
Yeah. I'm like, it was just insane to want to go to work every day. Like, and it's still like that, which is really crazy.
Wait.
Yeah.
I want to go to work.
Yeah. People on Sunday night, they're like, oh, Monday. I'm like, yes, I get to go do some fun things
there's
tomorrow.
Not enough hours. You're like, oh, we're barbecuing Sunday. Oh, that really eats into some of my writing time and my recording. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So, I mean, but for me, like, even still, like, having the time, it's like something that I have had to make sure and do is balance, obviously, like, balancing work and being a mom and being my own person, being, like, a wife, too. I mean, that's a lot of things to juggle, and it's not always easy, especially when the girls are 2.5. It's just a tough time right now.
Things will slowly get better and better.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what people tell me. Yeah. Like I said, I started going to therapy, and I always had this weird stigma about going to therapy. I think a lot of people did for a long time. And I didn't even do it like for a specific reason. It was, again, like I am self-growth minded. And so I was like, I'm really just curious about like what it can do for me and how it can help benefit my like daily life. I mean, I obviously had stress every day, like with twins and business and stuff. And so like having that has helped me a lot. And it's really taught me like to even continue that list I made of doing one thing every day that makes me happy. Like,
what a cool list. Get your list out, listeners.
Which you said you got from your yoga studio, right?
Yeah, yes. There's a sign there that says do one thing every day that makes you happy.
And make a list. This is beautiful. Listen, this could transform your whole life. It really could. This one thing, right? So be 1% better every day, right? Sort of the same, right?
Yeah, and then you get to be happier too. Like, that's great.
Right. Choose happiness. You're choosing it.
Yeah.
You're technically just choosing it. Right?
I am
because the world will come at you with whatever it wants. Yeah.
Yes. So like design was on that list, but I also try and, you know, for me personally, I incorporate like doing yoga. That's really something that's like brought a lot of joy to my life. And so I'm really trying to balance like keeping that as a priority as well, because I know that it like balances me out. So it's like picking that thing that it's like, that's really your non-negotiable kind of thing, where you're like, this is something like every week it's like, for sure, even if it's a crazy week, like there's this one class on Wednesday nights that I will be at, and I will get a sitter for it if I have to go.
No matter what.
And
that's beautiful. Well played. Hey,
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy, like how powerful yoga is? Like like I have a friend, she's kind of struggling right now. She's really stressed.
No,
and I'm
everybody
like,
come on.
yeah, I'm like, maybe try a yoga class, you know, and she's just kind of like, I mean, you know, like people just underestimate it.
Well, Lisa, even
just,
you the other day, you're like, oh, my daughter's in town and she's visiting and stuff. And Lisa's like, you're going to yoga right now? And I'm like, yeah. But it wasn't because I didn't want to spend time with everyone. I'm like, I really need this right now. It'll clear my space. I'll be good. As soon as I get done with yoga, I'll be 100% version for you guys. So,
yes.
But without
absolutely.
that, I'll be like thinking about this, that, and the other, and it'll be consuming me even during that time I'm supposed to be focused. Yeah. So, it's great.
It makes you more present, like to not be there, but then come back and you'll be more present than you would be.
No, it's a superpower.
Go
Go get it. Yeah. I got a big question. You know, living a life full of purpose, you mentioned being inspired to help other people in the health and wellness space. And we're in the yoga. We're talking about yoga now. So this would be a great place to kind of transition.
Good transition.
Yeah. How does selfless service play a role in your business and personal growth? Like how you serve these people, right? These people need help branding and then maybe even your community, but your husband, your kids, that's a service, right? You have a duty as a mother and a wife, like to hold strong, and nobody wants to be a half-assed version of themselves in all circumstances. You want to be a good wife, you want to be a great mom, right? All these things, you know, great at what you do. So how does that selfless service play a role in any business success? This is kind of a question that I like to ask because, you know, in my early days, it was like very selfish, right? Business is like, you know, this version of like, yeah, we're going to make killer money, and then, but you're not thinking I'm going to serve anybody or my community or you as a person, and then it becomes a very lonely place. So here's my big question: in a world full of systematic propaganda, of marketing and narrative building, there are those who claim that being in service to others is overrated in the pursuit of business success specifically. They preach that and gospel of profit, competition, market domination, and cutthroat, as if that's the only way to be successful. What are your thoughts on this perspective, and how do you balance that concept? Because profit's important, but also, like, what's your real drive? And I think this leads into your branding, right? And that's kind of where I'm going with this, is like, you specifically have a very niche-like way of branding people, and I think it falls in this line. So I thought this would be a really good question for you. What's your take on that? Give us some feedback from Haille.
My thoughts are, you know, of course there's going to be people like that. I mean, you can't control everything. But if you are starting a business and it's like something that you're passionate about, it's like bringing in the humanness of you, of like you in your business.
That's cool, because it's business. And a lot of people say, oh, it's black or white. It's either this or it's that, right? Like the gray line maybe is this humanness, like, and that can fall into branding too.
I think that's like part of what almost like drove me away from the businesses that I did work for, the corporate offices. It's like the humanness maybe wasn't so much there.
Yeah,
and
people
there
say
was
that all
more
the
of
time.
the cutthroat.
I want to talk to a real person. You know, like,
yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly. And it, like I had mentioned, one of my brain values is like intentionality, and that's, you know, being intentional about the way you make business decisions, to put, you know, people first and not, you know, trying to just like be sneaky. Like no one wants a sneaky marketer or like anybody who's trying to be like, ew, that's not even
Do you think that turns away your best clients, the ones you actually want? If you have tactics like that, aren't those the clients you want, the ones that can see through that? They're smart enough. You want the smart people to work with, right?
Yeah.
So anyone who's going to fall for some cheesy tactic is like, they got a long way to go.
Right. Yeah. No, what I personally do with the clients I work with is what I call is like heart-led branding. So it's like putting your heart in throughout your brand, and that's not just in visuals, what I do, but it's like helping you, you know, with your brand strategy and your voice
mission,
and like using
how things translate to
every aspect
to your customer community.
Yeah, so that, you know, you can then also work with and attract your dream clients, like people that are also going to value you and see, you know, respect you and like easily pay you for your services or products because they believe in you and they believe what you're saying and they feel connected to you. It's like there's a lot of like humanness that is like, that's what I think we're going towards.
Yeah.
Is people
because when you say that, when you say that we're going towards, it's slipping away right now, the humanness. Right? And the whole idea is like, okay, let's reel it back in, people. Like,
yes,
we're
reel
people,
it back in.
There's an old saying, right? Business is people. It's not business and this type of thing. So with your branding, don't cold brand yourself, warm brand yourself, right? Like around that. And I love the concept you said, human. I don't know if you have that somewhere in your documents, but maybe you should riddle it. I like it.
I gotta write that down.
Takeaway from today. So
yeah, look at that brainstorming.
Yeah, love it. Love working. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. We're always growing. So even something like that, right? Like just making one thing better. But yeah, Lisa, I know you might have had a few questions that you have put down.
Yeah, I have a couple more.
Yeah, lay them on Haille here. So, the floor's yours.
So I'm just curious, can you tell us, what does it look like to work with you? Like, how long is the process? Yeah, like, what's the process like?
Yeah, of course. So typically people will schedule a brand intro chat with me. So that's when we can just get to know each other. I can learn more about you, your business, and figure out, you know, how I can help. I have 2 branding packages, and one is kind of like the essentials. It's like what I recommend that you start out with. And then there's also my higher package that's got all those same things in it, but it's a little more rounded out with the brand identity, and it's got social media suite and some marketing collateral pieces. So I have like these 2 options, and it's kind of presenting those to those people and kind of seeing where they're at in their growth, because the higher package is meant for growth. It's like that is the one you're like all in, you're like, okay, let's do this, right? That's typically what I try and sell people on, is like, you want to like do it right and get the full experience. And then I also have my done for you website package. And so a lot of people, almost, I think every single client who's ever come to me for branding also ends up needing a website, because of course.
Right.
And so there's kind of 2 parts to it, I guess, is like what I'm getting at. There's like the branding and websites. So typically we'll start out with the brand strategy, and we have a what I call brand discovery call, where we will get down to like the core of your business. And that's like where I'm really prying and asking questions about why you started, and like what your values are, who your dream clients are, and like asking a ton of questions so that I can make that translation into what does that look like visually. And so it's really a brand strategy session that you have with me. And then from that point, I make a mood board, which is a fun transition from our meeting and discussions into what I can picture it as visually and what I think the direction should go. So then I present that to my clients, and they'll love it. And or we'll make some tweaks so that you do love it, because that really is like the basis for what I run with moving forward through the rest of the brand design development. And once that's approved, I'll start my brainstorming, sketches, and really start to develop the full visual identity. And then I put together a presentation and I'll present it to my clients with, this one brand option, because in my development, I go through several different variations of what, I think it could be. But after doing it for so many years, I don't want to spend time basically half-assing 3 options to show somebody. I want to pick one that I think really would resonate based on all the conversation we've already had.
Sure. Yep. One always kind of rises to the top anyway. So
I like that.
Yeah. The other one you're
kid.
pulling at, and for me it's I can tell and I know hey, this is the one that I'll really round out and would make the most sense. So we do the brand presentation and again, love it. And then, then we are either done at that point or we're ready to move on to the website.
Yeah, so there's a done, right? There's a point where they're done, and it's all right, Haille, well, follow me on Facebook.
Well, that's what I was curious. If someone wants to work with you, ongoing, do you provide anything?
Yes,
beyond that?
I do. So my big packages are branding and website. But once you work with me, then I offer a retainer program. So that's customizable depending on your situation, what you need each month. But I have clients who will, I don't work with anybody on a retainer basis unless I've already worked with them in developing their branding. And honestly, that's better for them because then I have the full knowledge and full scope of your brand, and it makes things I am the go-to for your brand and the brand police, I know everything. So, it's really
that doesn't align with your brand. You can't do that.
No. I know. So then I'll work with them to come up with a retainer for every month. Right now I have somebody who wants just a marketing piece and 2 social graphics every month. And so we meet once a month and
around that brand.
Around their brand. And then I do that for them. And so that's really worked out well. I love to be able to nurture their brands afterwards because, that's something that I poured my heart and soul into. And I'm now I'm basically your designer, right? I am on your team. I'm on your team.
I have to ask, what do you think of our branding for our podcast? What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I've only seen the podcast cover of it, but
yeah.
I mean, I would love to chat with you.
All right. Well, fair enough. I'll take that as there might be room for improvement.
No, it's funny, actually. It made me laugh.
Good. That's what we're hoping
blanks, right?
For. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink, wink. Yeah. We like the innuendo.
Yeah.
That's actually the whole point. To
yes.
It. We were it doesn't need to be fancy.
No. Yeah.
This is the whole point.
It's funny. Yeah. Love it.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you liked it. Thank you for the compliment there. Haille, thanks for sharing your journey with us, and hopefully the kids grow up to be awesome entrepreneurs with an influence like you in their lives. Thanks for sharing everything with our listeners today, all your tidbits and tips and stuff. But before we wrap it up, where can they connect with you or learn more about the Haille Norris Design Co. Branding the soul?
Aw, I love that. I have my website, HailleNorrisDesignCo.com, and my name is spelled weird, so most people would not type that in correctly, but it's...
Yeah, I was actually hoping I was going to even say it right.
Yeah.
I'm uh-oh. Am I saying
yes,
that right?
you are. Yeah, I get Halle a lot, but no, it's Haille and then Norris, like Chuck. So HailleNorrisDesignCo.com, and also that's my handle on Instagram, which is where I live mostly. So, yeah.
What could you do for someone right now if they listen to this when it drops, or even a month later? what would be something that if they say, hey, I saw you on the Fire Your Boss Fridays episode, what do you think? Could you offer our listeners something special? Like, what could you drop for us? I know I'm really dropping this on you right now, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a brand identity checklist that I could provide if they want to reach out to me and say that you've, listened to this podcast.
Cool.
I have a brand identity checklist that
I can hear people cheering in the background.
It's like a fully comprehensive list of, from start to finish. Okay, I need to start doing this now. All right, here we go. Let's check it off. So
it'll also identify where your roadblocks are probably, right?
Yeah.
Because when you'll get to a question, you'll be like, or a check,
Yeah.
whatever the thing is, you're like, wait a minute, I'm stuck here. This is a bad place for me.
Yeah.
I better go to Haille's
Yeah,
Instagram.
I was going to say, I have on that checklist highlighted the things I can help you take those things off the list. So,
okay, that's
cool.
So nice play. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Well, remember, Rebel Souls, it's time to steal your life back, fire your boss, and live a life full of purpose. And as Rebel Souls, we know better than to follow the herd blindly. We challenge the norms, and we're here to uncover the truth. Haille Norris, with a brand design studio, has shown us a different path, one that combines the power of purposeful branding with a selfless service mindset. In this Western and modern world of cutthroat competition, flashy marketing, she rebels against all the shallow tactics. Instead, she leads with authenticity, honesty, and service. And guess what, guys? It pays off. She has debunked the propaganda and is proving that being in service to others is not only the foundation of success, it's the key to purposeful and thriving business. With that said, as we conclude this amazing episode, this powerful episode of Fire Your Boss Fridays, we leave you with a perspective on duty that's inspired by one of my favorite writers, James Allen. Duty does not consist in suffering everything, but in suffering everything for duty's sake. There's nothing worse than dying without giving the best version of yourself to your wife, to your husband, to your kids, to your business. Go out and be honored that you get to give at that level. This quote emphasizes the importance of dedicating oneself to fulfilling your duty, not merely enduring suffering, but embracing it willingly for the sake of fulfilling your responsibilities and your purpose on this planet. It encourages us to act with a sense of purpose and wholehearted devotion to our duties, recognizing that true fulfillment lies in carrying them out with unwavering dedication. Thank you, Haille. Thanks, Lisa, for everything. We'll see you guys next time on Fire Your Boss Fridays.
Thank you so much. It was an honor.
Yeah, thank you.